Love poetry is the most popular and the most sought after poetry genres of all times. And the variety of love poems that we get is just mind boggling. From the abstract to the metaphysical to love poems that are more direct and candid. There has been a whole tradition of love poetry in different languages of different countries across the world. From Pablo Neruda's evocative love poems to Sylvia Plath's somewhat disturbing love poetry, to the tradition of ghazal in the Indian subcontinent, to the spoken word love poetry of today, the genre of love poetry indeed continues to reinvent itself with the passing time and continues to reign supreme. Hi guys, this is Rati here. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to review a poetry book. In fact, this is the second episode in a series which I started a while back. And this is going to be the second episode of the series. Without much ado, let's begin. So today I'm going to review a poetry book that's called Make Me Some Love to Eat. It's written by Madhu Raghavendra, Make Me Some Love to Eat. And the book has been published by Red River. Moving on to the poems of the collection, Make Me Some Love to Eat is a collection of love poems. And the thing that I absolutely loved about this collection is the fact that these poems offer a very fresh and unique perspective on love. You know guys, I'm not saying it just for the heck of saying this because I'm reviewing this poetry collection, but trust me, if you read these poems, you will actually see that the language, the metaphors, the imagery, everything, it's very ingenuous to the poet, It's something which is very innovative and which is coming across as very fresh. There is nothing cliched about these poems. Generally the problem with love poems is that, mostly a lot of love poems sound similar, because they're these cliches that have been used and overabused. But Make Me Some Love to Eat, like I said, is completely devoid of those kind of cliches. And the poet manages to, construct, evolve a language, a vocabulary, a grammar, which is very, very much typical, unique to the poet, and is probably taken from the immediate socio-cultural milieu of the poet. The second thing which I absolutely loved about this collection, these poems, is the fact that, there is a bit of storytelling in all these poems. So these poems are neither completely abstract, nor are they direct. But, they fall somewhere between the narrative and the abstract domain. And there's just a little bit of storytelling in all these poems. And what I really want to talk about and appreciate is the fact that each poem has got this lingering element of suspense, When you read these poems, you never know what's going to happen next, what actually will happen in the end of the poem, how will the poem end, what actually happened. So, it's really like reading a mystery thriller, a suspense thriller novel, which I think is something very unique for a love poem, So despite the fact that these are love poems, these are not predictable love poems. Like I said, there's this suspense lingering in the lines of the poem. And in the end of the poem, you have, something with a bang, you have a surprise. So this mystery element I really liked, which I think the poet maintains in mostly all of his poems. The third thing which I liked about this collection, which I think is remarkable, is the fact that despite, the fact that these poems are actually very modern and contemporary, but they are very much rooted in an Indian cultural ethos. As a foreigner, you can probably obviously enjoy these poems and, maybe there's some exotic in these poems that appeals to you. You're fascinated by these poems. But as an Indian living in India, you're going to pretty much relate to the characters of these poems, the storytelling in these poems, and the imagery of these poems. The love, as you see, expressed through this poetry collection, through these poems, is something, which is taken from the lives of ordinary middle-class men and women of India, boys and girls of India. And the style of writing, although, is steeped in magic realism, and it tilts more towards surrealism and magic realism. It's not so much realist. It's also very playful and light. But the content is very, very much steeped in realism. And like I said, it's taken from the lives of middle class, people of India. I'm going to talk about this a bit in the context of these poems. So there's one of these poems. It's a very short poem in the collection in which the beloved is talking about the bindi on the forehead of his lover and how he says that he just goes crazy at the sight of that bindi which his beloved applies on her forehead. Then there's this another poem in which a young man is taking bath in a village pond, and how he's imagining about his beloved, his lover, who's probably taking bath in the same pond on the, on the other side of the river or something like that. Then there's a poem in which a man randomly approaches a woman at a bar and starts talking to her, conversing with her, and they're surrounded by paintings, I think. And how he notices that, she smells of nothing. So the whole poem celebrates the fact that she smells of nothing. So, the poems are also very visual. You can literally visualize all these things happening. And like I said, that's the beautiful thing about these poems. These are like little gems, where the everyday so-called mundane, the quotidian things of everyday existence are converted into the sublime and beautiful magic of love. Overall, guys, I would say that this poetry collection is something, which after reading I don't think anybody can be sad and gloomy after reading these poems. And trust me, it's not an overstatement. I'm not saying that all these poems are happy poems. They explore different shades of love. But I think the way these poems are written, it's more, tilting towards celebrating the power of love and highlighting the positive aura of love rather than, thinking too much about or getting into the dark and the negative side of love. I think this is more about, sort of an ode to the positive aura of love that invades our lives, that invades our existence. On that note, I'm just going to end with a couple of poems from the collection, which I'm going to read. So this is in the beginning of the collection. This poem is called Transcendental. Chhap tilak sab chhini re, mose naina milaike, Amir Khusro. A coffee transcends a few coffees spilled over a lifetime. I look into your eyes, and you look into mine. Your hands are exiled in the deep of your pockets. You feel cold in the middle of a bookstore. Let me buy you a book. Selected poems of Joy Goswami. This should turn the air condition into sunshine. Then there's this poem called Muddled. I'm just going to read 2 stanzas. Muddled. Love is green at my village pond. I dive, dip, swim, bathe, all summer long. You follow the same ritual on the other side. I don't know your name or who your father is, but I want you to notice my dribbling chest, my broad shoulders glistening under the sky, halos of the sun, broken blocks of khejur gur. Then the poem called Bindi. I think they fake it, these men, when they say they love you as a person. At times, I'm fana, even at the sight of that inanimate, inconspicuous bindi of yours. Now guys, fana here is an Urdu word, which here would mean, to go completely crazy, to go completely berserk, something like that. Then there's this poem called Worship. That love-making was special. The green Kanchipuram silk sari she draped untied itself tactfully, following us. Its golden borders fused with the idol at the Vinayakar temple, as I offered my lust to the gods. Handbells and temple bells clanged deafeningly. The aroma of burning camphor immersed in air. I dripped sweat on my palms, my hands clasped, my eyes closed. This charming girl with a speck of vibhuti drawing invitation between her eyebrows queued next to me. She nudged and said, "The Aarti is here." Now there are many lovely poems to read, but time is short, so I'm just going to read one more poem. It's called Nothing. She smelt of nothing. I spoke to her at the bar for an hour. As she would talk, I would take soft, deep breaths to smell her. Nothing. I stood near her as we looked at abstract canvas paintings. I could smell the acrylic artist. I've never come across women who smelt of nothing. I think I'm in love with the aroma of nothing. Plainly, vainly nothing. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I'll provide the Amazon link to the book in the description section. Make Me Some Love to Eat by Madhu Raghavendra, published by Red River. You can check out the link if you're interested. And that's it for today, guys. And please do remember to press the like button and to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Bye for now.